So I'm going to joint another one here real quick and talk my way through the process a little bit more. I could do the whole thing with this. Just tends to be a little bit more convenient to work through most of your, if they're not perfect and you've got to work through some bumps and something that's out of square, it tends to be a little more convenient working with the smaller plane. But what we're going to do first is we're going to see how close to flat we really are and see if there's anything crazy that's sticking up that we got to take out. Right now I'm hitting on the ends and I'm a little low in the middle. So that's perfect scenario for jointing a board. What is the worst is when it's high in the middle, when you've got a hump in the middle and your straight edge is doing that, you've got to take this hump out first before you go to jointing, or you'll just follow it. So the best case scenario is when the ends are low, and I mean the ends are high and the middle's low, because what will happen is with the longer jointer, as you go across, you'll dig in here first, and as you start to register out, you'll lose your cut here. The end will start to come up, you'll stay out of the cut, and then you'll just start cutting here towards the end again. You keep doing that till it comes down. Trying not, it helps you not introduce an arc like this, which is one of the two hardest things for people to not do when they're doing this. The two biggest things that people struggle with a hand plane are introducing a convex curve and also constantly chasing square back and forth. Now, the square part, I'm not gonna be able to fit in there, huh? I'm gonna have to flip this over and plane regardless of grind direction. And this won't matter, because if I get a little tear out and if I get a rough surface, it doesn't matter. The glue's just gonna stick better to it. Normally I try to plane with the grain. I don't know how well this board shows up, but this timber's got, let's see, it's going down grain here, it's back into the grain here, it's down grain here, grain's kind of back into the grain in the beginning, which is not the greatest scenario, which is why I flipped it over. But there's a couple knots in it. But what my most important thing is that this face, that this edge is square to this face. This is going to be the top. So when I glue this up with these big 2-inch wide boards, regardless of my clamp pressure and everything, if I can get these perfectly square, when I clamp it up, the top is going to be flat. It won't be, what tends to happen is when you clamp things up, they either follow the imperfection in the edge, which you're going to have to trust me on this. In your shop on your table saw or with your jointer, you're not getting an edge as square as this or as perfect as this. This is way better than I can get with all my machines. I mean, machines will get it close. Clamp pressure is a great thing when you use machines. You know, you can clamp the crap out of them. The way I do it, I can set them together and you can't see the joint on a 2-inch wide board. So that's why I'm doing it this way. It just makes glue up simpler. I don't have to worry about calls and trying to clamp it flat with when I do big countertops or a big table, having a huge registration surface to clamp it against. You know, my assembly table's 8 foot long by 4 foot wide upstairs, and it's not flat enough to use as a registration surface. So, you know, you're at the mercy of these joints. These joints will keep my top flat. So I really want to go out of my way to make sure that I joint this perfectly square. You know, when these planks are milled by us, and when they dry, you know, there's no way, even if I planed them, you know, a month ago, they're still going to move around. So we want to, when I run these through my table saw to break them down or hand cut them to break them down, they're not going to register perfect on the table saw. Just when I broke down a couple of these, I registered my flat side, but if my flat side's like this, you're not getting a perfectly square cut, even with a perfectly square table saw blade. So that's what I'm fixing now. This backside's high, and it's low in the middle, which is good. So my first few passes will be off the backside alone. I'll take some of the backside down until when I register my plane, my square, that the front side's hitting. I'll bring that down until the front side's hitting. And even a great scenario is if I take too much off the back so that I introduce just the slightest hump this way. That's easier to work. It's going to be really slight. It can't be huge. But all I need is one little flat facet to run across, a good smooth pass all the way across, and bring it down until both of those edges meet. Like I was saying earlier in the other video, you can, I could do these with a cambered iron too. You can see how I lost my cut in the middle? Like I was talking about a minute ago. I'm way back into the grain right here because I'm getting all kinds of tear out there, but that's fine. So I'm just losing my cut there as I come up out of it here. And all I'm doing is bringing the edge that's furthest away from you down until I can deal with it on a full pass. It's going to come down a lot. It's going to come down a lot. I'm actually going to take a heavier pass here. It's probably gonna start shitty just because it rains right back in my face. Not very much. And also what I'm looking at is, as I correct this, I'm looking at how the backside, how it's flattening out as compared to square. So right now, from basically, well, right now on this one, 3/4 of it is flat and square. As I get out here in the middle, because I haven't hit very much because there's a hollow here, it's the back third is square, but what's happening is where I'm squaring off, where I'm hitting on the back is square to the square. So I can keep riding that facet as I go here. As that facet moves across the board, as long as I keep my plane registered on it. And you can see it, you can't see it from where you are, but I can see it at my top. I can see the facet where it falls off here. But that facet's coming across square. And it's just a little easier. You could even do this with a number 4. I'm just cutting the time down by doing it with a tri-plane. You can see as I go, each shaving's coming out longer because it's getting flatter. So I'm registering the whole time. Now I can see the facet all the way across and where it lets out over here still. Make sure that I'm working square. Okay, now my backside's a little teeny bit low. Right here, there's a teeny little hump in the middle. You can see my squares rocking on it. That's kind of best case scenario. So I'm going to make one pass right down the middle, and then I'll go over to the bigger plane. In the knot there. And then on the way out, you can see that I'm keeping all my pressure on the backside so the plane stays registered and doesn't dip off the back. That's another thing that people tend to do wrong. Is create those curve offs in the back. As you push out, you do that. You want to keep your Start with your pressure all on the front here. So I'm holding the front down. Push on. Then the back of my hand is holding the back of the plane down, and I want that to register until I come off. That. This is going to be pretty close. Hopefully when I put this square down, it looks pretty square because I can go over the other plane if it is. And it's almost perfect. It's beautiful. Still a teeny little hump in the middle. I might have to fix that. It's a little high on the inside now. Just through right here. It's funny where this, I can see it where the plane didn't hit, where this knot is right here. I'm just going to take a small section out of that. That's just going to make it easier for this one to register. It's registering nice and flat. How much iron I got sticking out? I'm going to creep up on this cut a little bit. I don't have very much iron sticking out right now. You can see where I lost my shaving right there was just where I took that one little chunk out. I'm going to make one more pass. This is actually pretty close. That was a nice pass. Pretty much full length, full width. Make sure it's nice and even. Looks perfectly square, perfectly square, perfectly square, perfectly square. Make sure we didn't introduce anything into it. I got just a teeny little low spot right here. I am going to just take a couple of just a pass off the end here. Feel it starting there. One more. It's a good way to see where you're low. Kind of low right there. Double check it again. It was well within anything that you could clamp up. I can just barely see light under the level right here. I'm gonna do it one more time and then make a full length pass, and it should be good. When you check it with the plane, the iron is biting. Trying to see where the iron's missing. Right here, just a little bit. See the iron's missing right there? That's the low spot that I was just pointing at. So I'm going to start right there and go out the end. One more time. That should get me real close. Beautiful pass. I assume that's good. Perfect, 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 perfect. So that's done. Shouldn't be able to see that light under there anymore. And nope, can't. It's perfectly straight, perfectly square. I'm not talking within, this is the way to check it right here, guys. Take your last board and see how good a job you did. Okay, I want to show you this joint. I'm going to move you. I tried really hard to get you. So I'm going to show you this joint. You can see there's a teeny, you can see through it, there, not through the joint, but you can see a little shadow there. I don't know if it's going to go away if I move it around. It's just holding my hand on it, but you can see how flat, and there's a shadow here just because the boards aren't lining up. But, I mean, there's no gap. That's what you can do with a hand plane. You can see there's a little teeny gap right here. You know, something that I wasn't perfect on, but I'm telling you, I could almost like put hand pressure on it and close that. So that's a good way to check, is just pick one up that you've already done and lay it on top of it. No pressure or anything. That's how flat it is. And I know you're seeing this little white line right here, but it's because these faces aren't perfectly straight. I can just kind of try and line it up a little better. Take it away. There you go. So, I mean, you can almost not see anything. That's how good it is. Except this little shadow right here where it's sticking out towards you, right here. And there's the teeniest small imperfection in my process right there, which is nothing. That's came out beautiful. And now, if you want to get real anal about it, just put this on my bench stools here for a second. I'll flip it over and check the other side. See how good this side came out. I would almost full well expect that one of them's not good. This side's even better. So, there's kind of like some fuzzies on here, but and you can see, I don't know, right there a little bit. Teeny little gap right here. It's almost telling me that one pass that I took off trying to get that high side out is probably what I'm seeing right there. But I mean, it's so close to perfect. You've seen a little shadow. You've seen a little shadow here. But that's, I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is technically, I mean, just about, again, I got that shadow just because I got that sticking over there just a teeny bit. I can't tell you, I can say that all I want, but you're not going to believe me. But there's your seam, just hand jointing, 2-inch wide. White cedar. Oh, you can see there's that crack that I was talking about where the plane was going on funny because I was flexing. But that's probably why this one's not perfect right here, because it was kind of chattering on funny. But so that's way beyond anything that you need. You know, it's just for a glued up top. Put you back. We've got 18 minutes. Put you back over here. It's kind of the best spot I've found to put you. You can see. So let's flip it over and let's do the other side quick. We get out of this video. I can tell you this one's going to be a little bit more of a challenge just because I got a knot right at the beginning. Right here, there's a knot. So that's going to be kind of funny starting and getting that to go smooth. Let's check it out. Well, that's good. It's perfectly square. Perfectly square. So if there's no hump in this, I'm going to go right to the jointer plane, the bigger one. It's close enough. I'm going to go right to the big plane. Don't need to use the little one here. The edge is perfectly square to the face. My table saw did a relatively decent job. after that one pass, this is good enough to glue up just like that. A couple more passes in this board, it would be perfect. But that was almost full length, full width, right off the table saw, one pass. The only place it's not hitting is right here. I got a circle mark where the table saw, and I got a circle mark right here from the table saw. It's the only place that the plane didn't take a shaving, right there. And let me make sure that I'm not introducing something that's not square. It looks absolutely, oh, a little bit. Just going to take one pass out of that one area right there. It's just a teeny bit high right here on the backside. I don't exactly know why. Oh, I can feel it. Never mind. I can feel the plane didn't even hit here. It's all shot smooth back here. It didn't even hit here. So that's where I'm getting that from. Just make another pass. Yep, I can see it. Keep it registered flat towards the back a little bit. Check that one area. Yeah, so it's just one little spot right here. It's not hitting in the front, it's hitting here. I'll just take a pass out of that quick. Perfect. You know what? I'm going to lose a lot of these ends. This is going to be 32 wide. So I'm going to lose a bunch of these ends. So I will end up cutting off whatever's the worst, but that's perfect. Let's do another test on it. It's just simple to test it. Not just do it, but show you. Oh, good. This is actually a book match on these. So this is how good a job it did. Now you can see from the top, you can see the white line because this one's back further. But here's the seam. There's just a teeny little gap there. I don't know if I can fix it. Yeah, I can take it out with finger pressure. Seems like there's one of these two's got a teeny little bump in it, but yeah, that's just finger pressure right there. So the clamp pressure will definitely clean that up. The other part is that the closer to perfect that you get these, the less clamp pressure you need, and the less you're going to be introducing tension into them when you clamp them up. You know, this, let's just stick it out just here. This won't need much clamp pressure, so I'm not introducing something that's going to try to come apart later. In other words, if this was a sprung joint, well, like this, if it was a sprung joint and you're clamping this middle together a ton, it always wants to go back. So while I do see the advantage in sprung joints, purposefully making the joint like this so that when you clamp the middle together, it makes the whole joint tight, is what a sprung joint is. You're adding a ton of tension and they're always trying to open back up later. So when you get it really, really almost perfectly done like this, you know, it's not trying to open back up. So that one's done too. I'm going to take you off. I'll probably shoot one more on one of the small ones.